Hello and welcome to Business Today Television. The Reserve Bank of India early this week lifted ban on certain payment aggregators after almost a year. Last year, RBI asked these certain aggregators to temporarily withhold onboarding new online merchants till additional documents are submitted. The RBI's authorization now will enable these payment companies to, of course, onboard new merchants onto its platform for processing online payments. To talk more about this, I am joined by the co-founder of one of the payment aggregators, that is Cashfree Payments. I'm joined by Mr. Riju Datta. Riju, thank you for joining us on this conversation.
Thanks, Karishma, for having me. Great to be here.
I'd like to begin by asking you, tell me how does this move by RBI a year later gets you back into the system, back in the competition?
Yeah, I think it's a great move. I think we've been one of the leading aggregators in the country and being among the first ones to receive the full authorization to operate as an aggregator and onboard merchants. It's a great moment for us as a company. I think we have been one of the aggregators that merchants prefer to go to. Close to 50% of the new merchants that look for a payment solution in the country come to us. That's a trend that we have been seeing in the past and that we're seeing right now. So it's good to be able to onboard them and serve the merchants and provide them a best-in-class online payment experience.
Right. Riju, tell us what kind of challenges do you usually face? And in fact, with this whole 1 year hold that you were on, did this be a setback in terms of your already reserved merchants and also the ones who were wanting to join?
So I think we were not allowed to onboard new merchants as a payment aggregator. We always could work with and grow our relationships with the existing accounts. I mean, we work with more than 300,000 businesses as of today, right? So we could kind of focus on the existing merchants that we work with. So the growth was not as much as we could have ideally wanted. Obviously, there was some, I would say more conservative growth there. But we focused our energies on the existing merchants, and then there are value-added services that we provide outside of payment aggregation, like KYC services, right? And also, we've recently launched Flowwise, which is our payment management system, right, which helps any business go live with an enterprise-grade payment processing, within a very short span of time. So that is something that we again focused on, and we're seeing very good traction there as well. Right. So I think it's good to be back, but I think we were still able to be in the business and serve through the existing products and existing businesses. Yeah.
Okay, you did just mention about the fact that it was not a lot of burden and things were, of course, going on in a normal way. It's just that you were not allowed to take onboard new customers. Now, going forward, if we discuss a bit about the growth aspects, could you give us some insights into how many new merchants are you targeting to onboard, and what kind of transactions also that you're looking from data perspective?
Right. So we process around $40 billion, in 12 months or on an annual basis right now. We've been looking to grow close to 80 to 100% year on year, which is something which we could not do last year, but I think we're going to try to get back to that going ahead. In terms of merchants, as I said, right, I think almost 50% of new merchants look, entering the market look to, work with us. We're seeing around close to 30,000, inbound merchant leads every month, who want to explore working with us. Even now, since there is a big backlog, I think right now the focus is, trying to clear the backlog, right? There's a long queue of merchants, close to 20,000, who have been kind of waiting to onboard with us. I think 8,000 of them are fully ready in terms of the KYC, right? So we're trying to clear that queue as quickly as we can, and we see a lot of merchants that, did sign up, started signing up after the announcement came out. And also reached out to us informally, right, over various channels, right. So yes, I think clearing the backlog is the first agenda that we're working on, and yeah, I think grow, as close to 100% year on year as possible. That's the plan going ahead.
Okay, that's I think also from a short-term basis, if we see at about 12 to next 15 months, that's going to be your focus. You did mention about 20,000 new merchants that you're looking to onboard. For our viewers, usually how long does this take, the onboarding process, the KYC documentation check?
Yeah. Yeah. So typically the principle we follow is, the business owner or someone authorized by the business owner, enters into, a business agreement with us. That's the principle of the onboarding process without going into the details. And if everything is in order and we, evaluate the, merchant's line of business or business model, I think it takes, less than a few hours. Because most of the checks are automated in nature. So if the merchant is able to comply, I think it's an automated process and businesses can go live in an hour, right? So usually it takes 15 to 20 minutes to complete the process. And if everything is on there, yeah, that's all it takes, really. Right? In case there are deviations or in case there is more clarity required, that process might take up to a day, right? Just go back and forth. Yeah.
In that case, you must be really busy these days. At least since Tuesday, it must be quite a time for the team.
Yeah. So it was a welcome surprise. We had a brief celebration, but I think then we, got back and there was a bit of a war room set up, where there are a few people and coordinating other efforts and together.
Yeah. Were you anticipating this to come before the year ends?
Not really. I mean, we've been waiting for a long time. We were waiting for a long time, but it really came out of the blue. But yeah, definitely the best Christmas New Year gift.
Great. Great. Riju, also tell us in terms of your growth plans going forward, what kind of diverse product portfolio are you further looking to expand? Of course, you've made a lot of, I'd say, milestones since your launch in 2015.
Sure. So, I mean, first priority, obviously, double down on the payment gateway, for which, or payment aggregator, for which we've gotten the license. We will constitute around 60-70% of our business. Flow-wise, I mentioned, which will offer enterprise-grade payment experience for a mid-sized or even a large-sized business, because it's very hard to build your own payment processing, to the scale of, what a very large enterprise would have. The cost to, like, let's say, crores of people will take you a lot of time. I still will get there. So Flow-wise is definitely something that we are also working on. KYC verification services helps businesses do full or part of their onboarding flows. That is something we've been focusing on. Right, and also, like, there is the cross-border payment processing. I think there's going to be a license on that also in the PA, payment aggregation cross-border license, which I think greatly opens up the segment, and we're going to see the effects of that in the next 12 months or so. Both for exporters trying to collect payments and for foreign businesses looking to collect payments in India. So those are places I think that we are focusing in the next 12 months.
Okay, that's good to know. Quite plans on your sheet that you're working on. I'd like to also ask you, in fact, I was speaking to a banker a few days back, and it was the big debate that we were doing about a bank versus a fintech, and he did share with me that though of course we are trying to foray into the whole digital finance spectrum, what really lacks is that depositors still would like to trust banks more conventionally than fintechs. Do you see that a long-standing challenge because you belong to this field?
Yeah, definitely. I think the entire ecosystem is built on on the partnership between the bank and the fintech. I think banks are an integral part of what we do. Even the payment processing has, partner bank always at the back end, right? So I think it's kind of a partnership that at the end delivers, value, ease of access, and, better experience, right, to the merchant or to the customer, right? That is what we're, and I think both are needed, right? It's not one versus the other. It's both working together always.
Got it. But would you see that, for example, the government, of course, has been very vocal about through G20 summit also about our digital payment spectrum and the whole digital finance ecosystem. But what really they're also worried about is the cyber security and other fraudulent issues that occur with payments online. How at your organization do you look at these dubious transactions? Do you have some products that you explore in order to keep security timely?
Yeah, I think compliance is at the core. Risk, fraud, AML monitoring, anti-money laundering monitoring
Yeah.
is at the core of what we do. I think the guidelines, very clearly lay out the responsibility and how to do that. I think over the last few years, I think we've been working very closely with the regulator as well as various agencies, enforcement agencies, right, to kind of shape up how the ecosystem, should kind of look at fraud, AML, what kind of risk checks should be there. So all the best practices, both the best practices and what is actually the regulation is kind of been implemented by us in many cases, solicited advice on from us, right? So that's I think today it's evolved a lot, because if you see, digital payments have also grown massively, like maybe 100x in the last 5 years or so, right? So it's only natural that when you have a new technology, right, there would be new kind of challenges or threats that would come with it. And I think we are well prepared to deal with those. And I think the necessary checks are being implemented across the ecosystem, right? The regulations are pretty clear, and I think we just have to comply with them. Things fall in place.
Got it. As we come to the end of this interview, I'd like to ask you, Riju, how's your, you've been, of course, backed by credible institutions, credible investors. How's this partnership going with them, especially with State Bank of India, who's been on your board? And also, are you looking at any acquisitions in the future?
Yeah, so I think SBI has been a great addition, I think, to the cap table. It's great to be partly owned by the government that way. And I think, as you said, right, it brings in a lot of trust. Being SBI, being the bank that it is, we get access to problems that ideally we would not, that we love to solve, right? So the kind of access we get, that's great to have. In terms of acquisitions, I mean, nothing imminent, I would say, but we're always kind of looking to work with, innovative teams, innovative founders, and innovative products, right? So that's something we're always on the lookout for.
Okay. When we started this interview, you did mention about the New Year gift that's coming in from RBI. So, do you have a New Year gift in terms of any, pricing plans or discounted merchant rates that you're going to be giving out to the merchants?
Right now, we're just glad to be able to onboard. I think we're just trying to solve the payment problems and the business problems that merchants have, and I think it's really exciting, right? Just to learn a new business model or a new startup that's coming to this space, just to work with them. That's very exciting, and we're enjoying that. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation, and of course, to keeping up in the foray for the digital financial ecosystem that even the government of India is working towards. Thank you very much, Riju.
Thanks a lot, Karishma. Pleasure.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.